Hello and welcome to our MediaManager.net demonstration. This is a demo. We call this an easy win for sales enablement managers, sales trainers, really trainers of all types. We're going to be using MediaManager.net for Salesforce, but you don't need Salesforce. Just to show you real quick. So here would be an example of using MediaManager.net without Salesforce in a regular portal. You can do pretty much all the same stuff with another CRM, but it's a little bit another step involved. So purpose of this demo is to very, very quickly introduce you to MediaManager.net, show you something you could do right out of the box. It takes very, very little effort. We're going to take one presentation. It's just a simple PowerPoint presentation on how to build a better presentation. And in less than 5 minutes, we're going to create an entire training program around that is going to make it possible for you to guarantee that your audience will use those training materials that you provide for them, and it's also going to give you the entire platform or basis to incentivize training for whatever that means to you. So basically a way to help push this information that you're providing, so whatever that information is. So I'm going to get started here very quickly. One thing I do like to do, so like I said, I want to do this in under 5 minutes. I've got some music I'm going to play, and I want to show you where we're at. Then we're going to start, and then I'm going to show you what happened, because like I said, it's one presentation in 5 minutes, and I said a lot of things are going to happen. So this is a completely new Media Manager portal. I just created this a few minutes ago. This is a relatively new Salesforce org. This is developer org, but you could use an enterprise. So I just want to show you, these are all these different tabs in the Media Manager application. Everything is empty. Nothing's been filled out. I haven't done anything yet, because when we get through to the end of this, it's almost guaranteed that you're going to say, this is pretty amazing. How did all of this stuff get done? It's all automated. It's just automation. The only thing I've done is I did this integration, which takes 5 minutes, and that's where I tied that portal here into this Salesforce instance. Other than that, show you these. So I have one Media Manager user. That's just my account. I don't have any interaction records, so there's basically a course tracking record. I don't have any presentations. I don't have any interaction activities. All of this is empty because I haven't done anything yet. So we're starting from scratch, nothing in here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do this in less than 5 minutes, and I like to play a little bit of music for two reasons. One, because when we get to the end and I show you everything that's been created automatically off of this one presentation, you're going to say, well, he obviously had to stop the presentation and do something. I'm not going to stop the presentation at all, and I like to play a little bit of music because then you know if I've cut any of this video. It's all going to be raw video. And it also is a good way to keep time. So this video is almost exactly the amount of time I want to do this in, 4 minutes, 52 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and start playing this, and I'm just going to get to it. I will talk over this a little bit. So first thing we're going to do is just add our presentation. This is all wizard. There's some other ways to do it, but this will be a good start. Cover image, not worried about it. You'll see what happens there. This is some keywords, good for analytics. I'll show you why I do this afterwards. It'll make sense. This is my presentation. This is a simple PowerPoint. You can use PPT, PPTX, images, HTML5. So if you want to get quizzes and stuff like that, you can do that. MP4, so videos, PDFs, any of those, you could drop them all right here. It'll take care of it. It'll organize it, and then you just do a little bit after this is converted over. And then I'm going to split my slides, so it's one PowerPoint slide per Media Manager slide, and that's it. Go ahead and go. This will start. It's take about 3 to 4 minutes. I would say it's going to be under 5. So presentation's being created. We'll know when it's done. Down here, it'll have a little indicator. And then we're going to do just a couple more things and we're actually be finished. So I'm going to create a group to automate this, so we can integrate directly into Okta and automatically assign people through Okta. You can also do it through some other tools as well. So presentation effectiveness group. I'm going to add myself to that group so we can see what happens. So there's my user. And then I'm going to go and create a new course. Add this group to that course. I'm going to assign it. I'll show you what that does in the interface. I'm not going to reassign it, but I'll talk about reassigning and how that works. This is really good if you have something where you know the material is going to change, or you're going to be adding additional materials, or you're giving a class to one group and you're going to give it to another group every week, and it's just going to keep growing. It's good to do a reassign, because then anytime you make changes to those materials, everybody gets alerted. I'm saving this. And one last thing, I just need to add this presentation when it's complete into my course. And we are at 3 minutes and 52 seconds, so I still have a minute to spare. I wonder if I'll make it. What do you think? Uh-oh, cutting it close. Is it gonna work? Uh-oh. Ah, it's done. With 11 seconds to go, all finished. And here is what happens. So this is our user interface. This is my new course. This is with my new presentation, which has been assigned through a course. And let's go ahead and start looking at a few other things. So there's not going to be much in the general dashboard because I haven't done anything yet, but let's look at all these things that were empty before. And I want to show you what has been done, both on the back end, and I'm going to show you in some other places as well. And you can start to see exactly how powerful this tool really is. So I went in and I created that course. I assigned via groups, and it created what's called an interaction record. And then it has this course completed. So as I start to go and engage all of this material here, so I'm going to walk into this course now in this presentation. And I could have had 5 or 10 or 20 presentations in here. It doesn't organize it the way that you would normally think of it, but it's actually better. It's a more effective organization. So all of that material that you've assigned would be here, and it's stuck at the top. Now you notice these are called 1-1. The one thing that you do have to do is go through and change the names on your slides. These are all searchable text, so people can search this text. But that's pretty much all you have to do is just add it and add your text. When I refresh this, it's automatically going to refresh this across here, and I'm going to show you where it did it in the background. So these are all the slides that were part of that PowerPoint, which have all been created as a media manager slide now, part of a presentation, and all assigned via the course. And if I go into interaction records, once I select all of these and I've viewed all these, so this is my viewer, so I'm going to view 2 of them. And so notice how the red highlight goes around because this was assigned, but now I've engaged it. Once I view all of those, it'll automatically check this box, and we can tie that box into anything you like. So that's where you can incentivize it. You can use that for some additional analytics, all kinds of things that you can do with this. If you eliminate that course, it'll automatically inactivate it. So you can see over time, you know, what are the courses that we currently have active, what are the inactive ones. What are some other things we saw? So it automatically created 2 things here. It created a presentation record to represent the presentation in Media Manager, and then it created this all media record. All media, these are being used a number of different ways. All media is how you engage a piece of media. So if I do a search and I select that media out of a search, it's going to show as having been through all media. If I access this here through the presentation, then it's going to show as having been accessed through the presentation, and where it's showing that is here. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm going to show you another place. Where it's showing that is right here. Oh, okay. So these are the two that I just selected. So I went to title and I went to 1-1. I looked at those pieces of media and now they're marked as completed or viewed. And now they're viewed. And I'm going to go in, I'm going to change the name. Notice how it automatically changed the name. I'm going to change the name to 1-2 to something else, and then I'm going to view it, and you're going to see this is automatically going to check, and it's going to create additional records down here to check. It's waiting for them to be checked. So let's go ahead and do 1-. We'll do 1-3. So this is my, I don't know what it's called, but pages to be viewed. So I'll save that. I'm going to view this. So now this slide has been viewed. Got rid of that. And then for my particular user, so this is for me as a user, in the interaction activity completions, it changed it to pages to be viewed. It's always automatically updating your back end. And then it shows now that I've viewed this, and it also created another record so that if I view it again, I've got another tracking section. So like I said before, what we're going to do is we're not just going to create your regular training program or like your typical LMS where you go in, build your course, and then add some materials and then put your quiz at the end, and that's how it works. What we're going to do is we're just taking a presentation, we drop it in there, and Media Manager builds everything else behind it. You create a course and just organize whatever you want, and then in the back end, it's automatically generating all of this stuff to track that engagement. And also, if you start to think that this, I'm going to get a little bit deep for just 30 seconds, so bear with me. So if you start to think about how AI and machine learning can be used with your CRM, one of the biggest challenges to AI and machine learning is the data that you generate. Because for a long time, we've been thinking of data as a historical record, meaning this person did this. But when we start to think in terms of sales, we want to think in terms of journeys and pathways and how does a person get from A to B? Well, in order to really understand how a person gets from A to B, you sort of have to understand the decisions they're making along the way. What information are they looking for at one point? And in order to see that, you need an either or. This is where in marketing you do your A/B testing. We're going to see, do they look at this or do they look at this? If they look at this and then go to the next step, do they look here or do they look here? In order to have that, you need to have a record waiting to see what was engaged at any point, so you can know what were the possibilities and then what was the decision. So rather than doing the tracking in the regular way that most applications do it, where they just say, okay, they looked at this, and then you look at the analytics, this is where people are looking. We're creating a data set based upon that presentation for every user that gives us an idea of what are all the pathways that they can take, and then we can see this in terms of a path. So as right now, when I look at this is very raw data, so I'm not looking this through something like Tableau or anything like that, which is really what you want to start using. But I can see, first thing they did was they went to this presentation, they looked at the title, then, and this has a timestamp, so I can see the timing. Then they went to 1-1, and then they went here, and then using the difference between these two, I can see how long they spent on a singular slide in general. But at the same time, I see all the other options that they had. So where were the places that this person, when they were looking at this, where were the places that they were heading, and based upon those titles, what was their pathway through this, and then what comes next? All of this is possible, and all of this was just built by uploading that one particular slide. Now, in terms of training, what you're doing is you're delivering those materials. You want to make sure that they use those materials. So if I have these materials created, and I know that there's a particular process, and each slide is covering some aspect of that process, and I want you to make sure that you go into those materials before you contact, say, the SEM, or you contact some kind of support if it's a technical thing, or if you, whatever it is, whatever that person's going to do, then I have the ability now to incentivize it, because I can see through both the data that you had used the materials and accessed the materials prior to making that that request, but I can also, because this didn't just convert slides over and create a presentation, it created this entire collection of tools around this information. One of those tools is what we call a virtual parking lot. So rather than somebody just shooting an email and saying, hey, I have this issue, if they go into the materials, every single slide has this automatically generated virtual parking lot, and the presentation itself has a virtual parking lot. So the presentation itself is this one. So if I have a general presentation question, now I can go in. Now I don't have any categories created, but I can create a new category. So here's my, we'll say general questions. I create that category, and then somebody goes and they select general questions. They ask their question. This routes the questions based upon, probably didn't notice it, but there was an owner field when I was doing the initial upload. It routes these on an individual basis to each of those different owners. So you could have your entire course here. Here's all my presentations. I could have a certain section. This section goes to these people. This section goes to these people. Now you might not want to get that fancy with it. Depends. But if you just have everything going through here, then you say, listen, before you reach out for this question, go into the materials, locate the relevant section, and then ask your question through the parking lot, and then we can respond and you can have the conversation in here, you can have the conversation externally, but now you have a reference point, and it's keeping people going into the materials and using the materials. And then once they're using the materials, there's additional tools to make it easier to improve the course through time and through seeing how people are engaging it. Now you can do that through the analytics that we saw, but there's also a whole other collection of, or through the data that we looked at here with this data. So let's go ahead and see, yeah. But there's also the built-in analytics. So these are the analytics that we have right now. So I can see right here, again, this is completely new, so there's only one presentation in it. This is the top presentation. I can see how many times it's been viewed. Where does it stand in relation to other presentations? So if I start to build out this whole entire training program for my sales organization, and then I go in here and I look at this and I see that there are only 6 presentations that anyone ever engages, well then I know that all those other topics I can start to get rid of those. Or there might be some that I really want people to engage, but I can look and see, oh, nobody ever looks at this. Now you have to incentivize that material. You have to start to say, I need people to go to this. These are the top slides. So individual slides, I can see who's accessed them, and it automatically changes those names. So who's accessed them and how often here, and what the percentage is in comparison to other ones. My content views is showing who is looking at this presentation or looking at this material, what users are online. That's pretty straightforward. This is a slide by courses visual. So what I'm looking for is minimize the amount of information that's out there, maximize the number of times that people are accessing it. So I can see how many views versus how many slides. If I see something like this, I know that the materials in my overall training program are not drawing people. They're not effective. I'm not giving people the right information because they're looking at a very small amount of them. And you want to get to just the information that people really want and need. And then here we have things like slides versus presentations versus users versus views. There's different ways. It's hard for me to explain how you really want this to look on a new org, but there are ways to see how over time, like we want to increase different things in different ways. And then you can do all of this based upon, so I can look at this based upon start date, end date. I can just today, a week, a month, or 6 months, or a year. Then we have our assignments. Assignments is going to tell me everybody who is currently assigned in some kind of course, and then I can filter on the courses, the users, and I can just do a search. And this shows me very easily what's the progress. So I went out, I gave training, I've been giving training, I added people to here, I asked them all, go through, review the materials again after the course, ask me questions through the parking lot, we'll start having our conversations, our follow-up conversations, and then I go in here and I start looking who's engaging it, what's the amount of engagement, who's finished, who isn't. and I can very easily see, like how many slides have they viewed. I can do it by presentations, and then here I see how many users are assigned to a course, how many users are assigned to a presentation, how many users are assigned to slides. And I'm going to walk through this. I'm going to complete this, and you're going to see how this all changes. This gives me an idea, top to sign presentations and top to sign slides. So this is what are people looking at the most? So where are the places that are real hotspots for information? And what are the presentation wise? And what are the slides that are real hotspots? And then remember, I have groups and roles that I can assign. So I assign this through a group. So if I'm looking at, let's say I have a large audience, a large group that I'm working at, or even a relatively medium-sized one, of say a set of 200 people spread out across 10 different groups or something along those lines. Using this type of information that we're gathering, which is how often they're engaging certain things, and then referencing that against the groups that they belong to, I can start to see how information is reaching some groups and not reaching others, where we need to incentivize, where you don't need to incentivize, and things of that nature. And then users. This gives me a user by user control panel, so I can select by courses, presentations, groups, and roles. So if I just want to see all the groups here, I can do that. And then I can search. And what this provides me with are tools to both assign, unassign, and send a message to a particular user. And then also when I select a user, I can see their personal history in terms of engaging this material. So this is where they're at right now. They've finished the title 1-1 and pages to be viewed. I see when they've done it. I see the total amount. This is where they're at. And then this is what is most popular with them. So what's the information for this person in this group and role that has real relevance to them? Where are they searching? Where are they going? What are they doing? All of that information is right here, and it's all automated. And remember, I just uploaded one presentation. So all of this has been done, and all of this is also now in Salesforce. So I'm representing it here through our built-in analytic tools, but it's all being done through this information. You're seeing some of these because I deleted something earlier, so did delete something. And all of this for that user. So the last thing I want to do, I'm going to show you, and then we're going to call this a demo, is I'm going to walk through these, and I'm just going to show you how course completed gets checked at the end. And we're going to show you how some of these analytics kind of update as I go through this. And that's that. And remember, you can do HTML5, you can do all kinds of stuff. So it doesn't have to just be some plain presentation. You can get pretty fancy with this. We don't support SCORM, but really SCORM is built in, if you're familiar with that term. So we're just going to keep going through these. I can't go too fast because it does require you to actually look. And here's another place where they can start to add their questions. So if they have a general question here, they might put that question in additional text, save that, and it's going to show a 1 there. And now whoever owns this or has been listed as one of the owners, you can have multiple ones, is going to get a message. And notice how I don't have any other questions. So where are we at? About 15 out of 21. Let's do a real quick check. So you can see I'm at 15 versus 6. You can see the views. I've looked at this one twice now. This is my popular one, pages to be viewed for this user and this role and this group. And I shouldn't see this updated yet. Okay, that should only update once I've viewed all the content that has been added to that course, which you saw me do that. It was just basically selecting my presentations. We're going to stop on the last one because I want to keep myself honest. It's pretty clear, very straightforward. Let's look at our interaction completion activities. So for this user, all of these have been viewed. 120 is the only one that hasn't. And then you have records waiting to show that they could view any of these other ones at another time. So those are the options. I look at those empty unviewed records as options for what a person can look at. And just a lot of information you can derive from that. very valuable information. And here we go. And you're done. Questions? Notice none of them are highlighted anymore. So if I had put reassign on there and I went and changed this slide, it would move this back. So I can get rid of this slide or that presentation. I don't need it anymore. But if I made a change to any of that material, if I added new material, it would automatically take it and it would move it back up to the top. It would highlight that changed material, so then they know, oh, this is the thing that I need to look at. There's a lot of other really neat use cases that we do with that. This is showing me, hey, you've got some questions in your parking lot. Go ahead and get to those. And now you can see this is what it looks like when it's been completed. So cross your fingers. And there it is. So that's my course completed. We use that to build some really incredible stuff. We just finished a speaker program for a client where they hire or contract out with speakers to go to conferences to discuss or basically give presentations about their product, and they have to go through certification and training for all various types of reasons. And through this, we're able to very easily set up that training. We get them enrolled automatically through those other tools, those groups enrolled tools. And then when they're completed, we use this to create their certification record, to automate it so that we're going to be alerted when they finish that course or when the time is up on that certification, and then automatically, do contracting stuff. It's really a lot that could be done through here. But all those types of incentives, that can all be done through here as well, because now you see exactly how the engagement works. So that's it for my demo. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to us at support@mediamanager.net. You can check us out at mediamanager.net. We're on the Salesforce App Exchange. You can also check out our other brand, Intadio.com, which is pretty much the same stuff, but has a few additional use cases that we've designed into it. And that is it. Thanks so much. Have a good one.